Hey everyone, welcome back to the Drifter Journey channel. I am Jess, this is Greg. And so after 5 years of full-time van life, we finally bought property and are working on building a homestead. In last week's episode, we ended talking about how we left for Baja, hopeful to accomplish some things from afar and line up a bunch of contractors to start work in the spring. Before we get to that, if you guys want to support us, feel free to shop through our links in the description below. If you're not into Amazon, we have a couple really cool partners like Epic Water Filters and Rise Mushroom Coffee, and we make a small commission from that, which keeps this train rolling. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, so we call it a homestead because if we have to get real jobs, it'll become a hobby farm. So we want to keep it homestead. So if you guys use our links, we get to keep it homestead.
Yeah.
Hobby farm is just where you just burn cash from your other job.
Right.
So hopefully this is our job.
So let's get into today's video. So we left for Baja. Well, right before we left for Baja, we met a builder out on the property, and he was just a local guy we ran into at the lumber yard, and he said, yeah, I'd help you. My Rolodex is your Rolodex. I'll connect you with subcontractors. We got super excited. But unfortunately, after we left and tried to follow up with a few questions, we didn't hear anything more.
We never heard back.
So we moved on.
Troy.
But before we get into the next steps, let's talk about budget, because this is going to impact some of the conversation. When we sold our house before van life, we set all that money aside, and that was going to be enough to pay for it. And in 2018, that seemed like a very realistic thing. But as we all know now, the construction industry is crazy and things cost way more. So we are hoping to spend a total of $300,000 or less on this project. It's already looking like more.
We're talking to you from the future right now.
Yes, this is obviously an update from the future. So we'll get more into budget as we actually see a physical building get erected. But that's an important number for some of the things that we're going to talk about that happened when we were in Baja. So the first avenue that we were pursuing, you want to talk about the Barndominium?
Barndominium. Found this sweet Barndominium. It's actually was in Michigan, I think.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Somewhere over there in the Midwest. It was for sale, and I found it on Zillow, and I just took screenshots of it. I reached out to the realtor to try and get the plans for it. They never replied, so I was unable to get the plans, but we saw it built there, so I thought,
how hard can it be?
We can build it here. So we took the plans that we saw, and basically she redrew them as best as possible, and we decided we had wanted, I think, a 12 or 14 foot garage door.
Yeah. And
it was a 40 by 40 building, so that's 1,600 square foot footprint, and then inside of it, 600 square feet was the home, 650-ish. Yep. And then 1,000 was the garage. And then, you know, it was a really tall building, as you're seeing in the pictures. Above the living space, from within the garage, there was a stairway with a loft. Pretty awesome. If anybody wants to build it, please do, and show us pictures.
And tell us how much it cost you.
Yeah, because everybody says, oh, barndos are cost effective, blah, 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 blah. Well, we called the local metal building folks and sent them over the plans, and we're just like, hey, give us the estimate for the square footage and cost. They couldn't just throw us a number, and we went back and forth for months. Finally, they sent us like structural drawings, so they spent a bunch of time drawing it up, and gave us the price on the structure, just the structure, an empty shell structure, no housing part in it, with $160,000.
Yep.
For just the building. That was without the concrete slab, which was going to be another 40,000 or so, I think. So, you know, 200,000 just for a shell. That's not including the lot. That's not including the septic. Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
So quickly we figured out that wasn't going to happen in the $300,000 budget, unless we possibly did every single thing inside of it and still wouldn't have been able to do it. So being that we don't have endless funds, we quickly said, well, that dream's not happening. And we had to pivot. Everybody, let's take a quick second to talk about the sponsor for this video and let you know how to get a discount on their products. This video is sponsored by Epic Water Filters. They're out of Colorado. They have water filters that go in Nalgene's for when you're hiking, and they also have products to filter tap water at your house. Check out their website. We got a link below for them, and use code DRIFTERJOURNEY, all caps, to get 20% off your order. So then we decided, let's just put a shop up this year and just keep living in the van. And we called a metal building person on the other side of the mountains from where we are, and they quoted us for, what size shop was that?
It was still 40 by 40 we were getting quoted. So to back up, you're skipping a few things. Some of these details aren't super important, but it was pretty heartbreaking to finally get that email. We'd been fighting for a quote for literally 3 months from these people, and it was pretty heartbreaking to have that conversation on the beach of okay, well, I guess we're not going to be able to build this thing that we were so sure we were going to be able to build. So then we started just drawing up floor plans. Okay, well, if we're going to have to do something ourselves, we can probably manage something small, so we can have someone build just a shop for us, and then Greg and I could build a very tiny
We found
thing.
plans for something that was 200 square, not even 200 square feet.
So we were
186 square feet.
Yeah, we were looking at floor plans. I was drawing a bunch of options. We were also simultaneously researching septic systems and all kinds of other things. The thing about building is it's not a linear process. Some things can happen sequentially or have to happen sequential, but some things can happen at the same time. So we're trying to figure out all this stuff. And we did get in contact with a septic system person, and he was super responsive. He got us a quote within 3 days. So we were yes, this is good. So we got him booked for April when we got back. And then we started looking into just metal buildings. Could we potentially just have someone erect a metal building for us, and then we could finish out the inside for us? So that kind of is where Greg was talking about finding someone. You keep saying over the mountains, but it's
They were over the mountains.
Yeah, Alamosa.
But in that process, turns out the county, if you just have someone build you just a garage, which we were getting quoted $30,000 plus the slab, $23,000 plus the slab. So there was two really cheap options, because the slab for that was only going to be 15 or 20 grand. So we were $40,000-ish for a shell, and we're oh, we can do that. Well, we went and talked to the county. Turns out if you have someone build you a garage, as soon as you put a wall in it that touches any of the other walls, as in building walls for your house part, you now need structural engineers to restamp it, blah, 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 all this silly stuff. Unless you free float all the rooms within it, which seems stupid. So
Yeah.
the structure itself can do all the things it needs, but if you put a 2x4 against the wall, maybe it'll collapse.
So obviously there's reasons for these rules, but we were not expecting them. And ultimately, our time in Baja was not as productive as we'd hoped, because when we left, we thought we were going to have all of these contacts and start getting things booked and get plans drawn up. And basically when we got back here in early April, we had nothing going on other than the septic guy ready to go, Curtis. Amazing person.
Got it done.
So yeah, it was our first lesson in not even our first, probably our second, third, fourth at this point of how building was gonna go. We're about to get rained on. So we got back in April and had Curtis booked for the septic. He was basically going to start installing it as soon as the snow melted, and we happened to not be here on that day, unfortunately. We had to drive and buy this camper behind us, which is our temporary home during the build. But fortunately, he's very communicative. We were able to get everything figured out over the phone, and it was basically installed by the time we got back.
Yeah.
So we passed inspection. He was able to cover that back up, and we had basically our first major project on our property done while we weren't even here.
You gotta hire yourself again. We also had to get a septic permit before that and have a survey company come out and draw a picture of the property and where the septic was going to go.
Yeah, that was all done before we left, though.
Oh, did we tell them?
I don't know.
But that's like $3,000 though. If
Yeah.
you guys are trying to keep track of funds. Septic, $15,000. So
yeah,
there you go. We're 18 grand into the $45,000 lot.
Yeah.
It adds up quick.
And then we also had a storage container, a shipping container delivered. So this may sound silly, but we did store stuff in a storage unit in northern Colorado the entire time we were traveling.
5 years at $120 a month.
Yeah, so realistically we could have probably repaid for all of that stuff again with the amount of money we spent storing it, but with how things are going, we won't have any money by the time this build is over, and it'll be nice to already have that stuff. So we had a shipping container delivered from a local place here, and moved all of our stuff into it, and we're fully on the property now. So that was basically all that we got done.
Should we talk about how we have a plan now?
Yeah, we have a plan now. Do you want to tell them how we met?
Yeah, so the guy on the other side of the mountains that was going to build the shop for us just said we just needed to get the concrete. So we had called concrete people, but we didn't hear back from any concrete people because it's hard to get subcontractors to call us back.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I was like, I can't get any concrete people. And he goes, oh, okay, I got someone, I'll send them out. And so lo and behold, a gentleman named Ed shows up, and he's a general contractor here in town, and he's got connections. So he was going to do the concrete for the shop. And we were talking about it, walking the lot, and he just says, well, why don't I just build you a house? I said, well, I don't know, can we afford you? And he said we wanted a shop and a separate house, but then that's two concrete slabs. And he said, that's very expensive. He goes, you should go up. So I said, okay, well, let's quote it. So we quoted a 24 by 36 garage with a 24 by 36 house on top of it. I didn't want stairs because we're gonna get old someday, and I didn't want to have stairs, so I wanted a ranch, but that's 30 years from now. That might be a problem, and we said we can just put a little lift in if we really need to. But so he quoted it. He asked what our budget was, and I gave him a very broad range, $200,000 to $300,000. I was like, oh, let's see if we can pull this off. $200,000 to $300,000, and he instantly looked at me. He goes, well, you're gonna be on the high end of that. And we're like, okay, we'll wait and hear. And
but he did say, he's like, yeah, that's doable, but it'll be on the high end of that. And we're like, okay, well, we'll see what he comes up with.
Yeah, so he came back with the quote that came out to right about $290,000.
Yep, he didn't lie.
And I said, how certain are you of this? And he said, yeah, I feel pretty good about it. And we said, all right, screw it, we're going for it. Because, one, we can't get anybody to call us back. Two, we don't have all the building skills that we need. We would have gotten it done, but it would have taken us years. So we just, had him do it.
Yeah.
And now he's allowing us to do as much of the work as we would like. And he's been letting me use his skid steer, and I've been driving the dump truck and hauling dirt and doing all kinds of things to save us money. So he is very helpful in allowing me to work down the debt on the house. So hopefully that $290,000 comes down to $200,000.
Or at least makes up for the overages that we have come to expect on the construction.
So yeah, that's industry. Where we're at.
So in next week's episode, we're hoping to go over the design with you guys and the building permit process, and then actually breaking ground and excavation.
Yeah.
So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, let us know what questions you have about the process, and thank you for watching.